Hello, hi, welcome back to Even More News, the first and only news podcast. My name is Katy Stoll.
It so is Katy Stoll.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And I'm Cody. The end.
We have a great guest, folks. Founding host of the podcast What a Day and current host of How Is This Better on Courier. Very pleased to welcome Akilah Hughes.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I feel like I'm back to my roots with like daily vibe news, like knowing what's happening. Wow.
I know. Have you missed it? I'm sure
No.
you've missed
Is
it.
it
No. Soul crushing.
Yeah, I miss the audience. I miss, talking to the wonderful people. The news has only gotten worse. And I can't believe it. I really thought I was in the peak worst.
Gosh, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Jonathan is also here.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
Oh yeah.
We got an oh yeah from him. All right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in my Kool-Aid era. The kids know what I'm talking about. I have no idea if it's a thing still.
Our demographics don't skew that young, so I think we're cool. Akilah, on this show, we honor whatever holidays are happening. Almost always they are bullshit fake holidays, although we happen to be recording on Juneteenth, which is a federal holiday.
Mm-hmm. It's a real holiday. I am Black and from the South, and so I love Juneteenth. I think that it means something different to me now. Like growing up, I was like, emancipation, yeah, like Black people are finally for real free. But now I'm like, this is a good celebration of like just how lazy white people were back then, where it was like, I will do anything not to tell these slaves they can leave. I will wait years, actually. I will burn their mail that says they're free until someone shows up and physically takes them from us. So, sorry, white people, you're going to have to do your own jobs, but it looks like you're getting all of them. So, congrats.
Sorry, folks.
Ooh.
I forgot about this because everyone's like, oh, man, if Trump hears about this, he's going to cancel Juneteenth as a federal holiday. And he is the one who proposed it becoming a federal holiday, which I forgot about in September 2020 because he mentioned this at a rally in Atlanta. He thought he would win Georgia doing this. He did not.
Black people were like, you're right on some things like the holiday, but everything else, we still don't like you.
I feel like maybe Biden would do that anyway, so we don't need you. So.
Yeah, exactly. He was trying to get that black, the $20 bill with Harriet Tubman. Still not got that, though. Still rocking with Andrew Jackson.
Trump's got a lot going on, but I'm sure he'll find out that Juneteenth exists any minute now and pretend that he didn't propose it becoming a federal holiday.
Yeah, I totally forgot that. That's so fascinating. I do think it's so interesting, people's reaction to this. Even now, they're still doing it. Obviously, these aren't necessarily the great thinkers of the world. But for example, I'm going to read a tweet from Cat Turd.
Oh, Cat Turd. The poet of our time.
Kitten shit. What's he got to say?
Tomorrow is the holiday that nobody ever heard of until 5 years ago. That is such a fascinating, beautifully ironic tweet, considering like the actual like details of the holiday and how long it took. It's like, yeah, exactly. You didn't know it until now, man. It's so funny. Like Cat Turd is like, yeah, I finally know that.
Also, I don't know if you saw that somebody responded to him, and I think it was a white person who was like, I'm from Texas and we've celebrated this every year. And his response was just, LOL, whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Like you can't argue with that.
Okay, moving on. So you like adjusted your... No, of course not.
How miserable is the right that they're like a day off?
It's so weird. First of all, day
I
off
don't even care what it is.
in the middle of the week.
Right.
These are the people also who are like, America's the greatest country in the world. And actually, we were one of the first nations to abolish slavery. And actually, the Republican Party did it. America. So like they build up that idea so much. But as soon as there's a holiday that gives them the opportunity to be like, we abolished slavery and that's good, they can't do it. They can't even do the thing that they pretend to care about when it suits them in other arguments.
Exactly. The party of Lincoln suddenly back to loving slavery.
Take the win, folks. Like, gosh.
Okay, Akilah. So you are now in the YouTube video essay business. Welcome. With your show, How Is This Better? Tell us a little bit about it and what topics you're trying to stay up on top of, how you got to this point.
So How's This Better is a new show from Courier. You can listen to it wherever you get podcasts. You can watch it on YouTube. I love the videos. I work really hard on making myself look good for them. So if you would like to see me attempt to look great, that's fun. I love the cinematography, but so the show is literally about how is this better? It's asking the question of all of the changes being proposed politically, socially, just where we are as a culture, and comparing it to what came before. So the topics range from, is it better to sell the national parks to Mark Zuckerberg than just let them be the thing we pay for and get to experience as citizens? We talked about the history of Mark Zuckerberg and how he started his career. I mean, obviously he started with Hot or Not trying to compare women.
Yeah.
But so, maybe not so different now, but there was a small era where he talked about wanting to make the world a better place, and he was funding these immigration nonprofits, and really seemed like he had some sort of emotional center. And now he's just artisanal chicken nuggets and Muay Thai. So is that better? No. I will say most episodes we answer the question with a big old no. Things are not better. These proposals are not bringing us to a place where we're more connected to each other. We're more understanding. We're driving anything forward. Generally speaking, we're kind of regressing. Today, the same day that you're listening to this, I have a new episode about DEI, but specifically through the lens of deleting Jackie Robinson's legacy from the DoD website. And yeah, it's not better. So I definitely think you should check it out. But my origin story is YouTube. I started my career making YouTube videos. So it's weird to be back in a format that actually isn't just so hey guys, let's talk about prom.
The tone has shifted. Yeah.
Maybe different original content. But yeah, Cody and I, all of us have started at some place making videos online. I mean, I think we came of age in the entertainment industry with YouTube, and just how it's changed and shifted, but then also come back around where, here we are making videos on YouTube again. Speaking of videos on YouTube, I mean, this isn't super important, but I just need to tell you that I think about it all the time. My friend Milana, you did a series of comedy shorts with Milana, and friend of the show, but I claim her first because I've known her longer than you guys have. Just obsessed with Britannic. I loved the patty cake one.
Thank you. Oh, it's... everybody who's listening, if you haven't seen it, it's called Making Fun with Akilah and Milana from Comedy Central. It's on YouTube. There are 3 sketches we did in 2020. So funny. We filmed them in January. They came out right when we all got stuck at home. And they did really well online, but they're the best thing I think I've ever made. I loved working with Milana and Brian and Nick, and they still hit. So definitely check them out. I really am that was us in a weird era of just being comedic geniuses. So check it out.
They're good and fun and very well performed and produced.
Thank you.
I guess did they stop because of the pandemic? I'm assuming that.
The Cliff Notes is all of the Comedy Central executives who are and this will be a show if it does well online, got fired literally a week after they came out. And I'm but this is performing better than your old Key and Peele sketches. And they're it doesn't matter. We don't work there anymore.
We can't do that.
They're doing pranks now though. So if you guys like pranks, pitch them pranks.
Well, this has been fun. I think it's time for us to move on to
not fun.
The news. Jonathan, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
Are we at war with Iran?
As of this very second, no. However, it's kind of how when a will they, won't they on a TV show goes 5 seasons and you're just tell me already? We're kind of in that holding pattern. So just before we started recording, Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, she's standing up there at the podium. She says, I have a message directly from the president.
And I quote, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
Do presidents often do cliffhangers about war stuff? It's so weird how he talks about everything still. I'm what do you mean you'll wait 2 weeks and then decide to go? To war?
And does he mean to go to the negotiations or to the war? or just to Iran generally to be there. Like,
Right. It's a cliffhanger about like whether or not we're going to go to war, but it's also a cliffhanger of the sentence of like, well, wait,
right.
what are you saying? To go where? To what?
Right. Specifically to war? Like,
I mean, are you going to go? Because that's a different conversation.
and also go now. No one's opposed to him going.
I support our president fighting for our nation himself.
Someone just load him up with one gun and drop him at the border.
You got this, buddy.
Everything is reminding me of the John Mulaney horse in a hospital clip these days bit. It's like, you don't know what I'm going to do. Next one, on Wednesday, Trump said, I may do it, I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do.
I remember seeing that a few days ago and like it blew my mind. And then like a bunch of other stuff happened and I forgot about it. He likes that we're all like,
right.
Are you doing a war?
He's the reality
Like,
TV show guy.
It's really gross. It's fucked up and horrible that it's about going to war specifically.
The last person in the world that I want in charge of making any of these complicated decisions is this man. And Netanyahu.
Yeah. And Pete Hegseth.
And Pete Hegseth.
We're going to find out from him in a text before we find out from Trump.
I was very concerned based on all the stuff he said this week, because it was only, I think, 2 days ago that he was tweeting, we have complete and total control of the skies over Iran and unconditional surrender, and everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. So I was like very worried that like this was going to happen at any moment. And then yesterday he had a flagpole ceremony where he put up a couple of flagpoles and had some workers standing behind him. And he said, these are the best poles.
It's such a beautiful pole, we thought we'd put it near. I mean, it always looks best when it's near a Doral. I put it right near. I have a similar pole.
That's our guy. That's our guy. There he is.
God.
He's clearly not stressed.
And there's just nothing behind the eyes for him. He's like, look at my big Chinese flagpole. And I'm like, people are going to die. Stop looking at the flagpole. Put it down. He can't put it down.
The idea is that MAGA was anti-war and anti-interventionist. That's what they said. So they should be against this. Obviously, Marjorie Taylor Greene has gone on television to say this is bad, but she hasn't, as of the time we're recording, signed on to the supposedly bipartisan legislation in the House that Ro Khanna and GOP Rep Thomas Massie have put forward to try and reassert congressional authority over war powers. You would think that the MAGA people in Congress would want to do that, but since MAGA only stands for what Trump stands for, that's probably not going to happen.
They're in a tough position right now, Jonathan.
Tense,
Let's have some compassion for
I
these
don't.
clowns. I don't.
Rough
I'm
out there
being very
for sticker
sarcastic.
fans.
No, but yeah, that this is true. And there's a large part of MAGA that does not want this, but it's very difficult to go against what Donald Trump is saying. You're not going to see a lot of courage, I guess, except from Tucker Carlson.
I do just want to add, I'm from Kentucky. Thomas Massie has been a representative from there for a while. He's incredibly conservative, and he has been pushing back against Trump since he took office again. And so it is like truly the deepest mindfuck of my life that like that is what's happening now. Is a Kentucky like red Republican is leading the charge of like, hello, is everybody wake up, Chrissy, wake up, like. What are you guys doing?
Take what you can get, I guess, in these trying times.
Well, you know,
when
would Ted
the war
Cruz
is
even
on
do
the-
that interview with somebody on the left? You know?
Exactly. He's not going to. I mean, he
No,
had
he
a whole
wouldn't.
podcast with some guy from the Daily Wire for like a year and a half about how Trump shouldn't be impeached. It was called Verdict. It still is, I think, for some reason.
Because it was about the Trump
It was
impeachment. or
about the
something?
impeachment and how it's all a big lie. They're all floundering. It is a really interesting tension going on between the sycophants and like we're in the cult and Trump's the man, but also what is he saying? Gutfeld, of course, is saying basically like, you know, let's just. All right, I know that we had like there's all these other wars and there's a history we have in Iraq and Libya and all these places in Afghanistan. I push the backstory of history aside, which is a direct quote, basically urging for a fresh start with Trump because maybe this is a good war and he's smart and you've trusted him up until this point. So like everybody's got their perspective, but let's just like let him cook basically.
Let
is
him
what
cook.
Gutfeld is saying.
Yeah, listen.
It's so funny because and even in the middle of it, he's like, and I know I sound wishy-washy here, and it's like, yeah, I know, because you have to, because you can't actually have an opinion on this. It's
Like, what is our end game here? What is I'm not including myself in this. You took us out of the Iran nuclear deal not that long ago.
Or is it because, Israel jumped in and now we have to be in?
If it is just about getting rid of their nukes, I don't think they can do that without us. They need the Americans' bunker buster bomb, which may or may not even do the trick. So if that is what you're signing up for, the reality is that end game. I don't think, unless I'm totally wrong, and please tell me, I don't care. Tell me I'm wrong.
The end game is the problem of whoever is president 20 years from now, right?
Oh, God, yeah. But also, I mean, everything else that is leading into this, right? Like they're making college impossibly unaffordable. They're proposing getting rid of Pell Grants at the same time, which is only going to force poor people into the military to fight whatever dumb shit Donald Trump signs them up for. And so it's like, it does seem like the end game is like, oh, these people who are the working class and like, we're going to make it a much larger class and have a lot less money and resources. They're sort of just cannon fodder. Like, I feel like that's the end game. And I'm like, but if the conservatives really believed that he was not going to be this war person and it's going to be their kids going to war.
Such a good point, Akilah.
Why aren't they standing up? Like that now's the time. It's your kid who's going to be coming back in a box. Hello?
They've been laying the groundwork for this for a long time. And even the anti-war faction of MAGA has been laying the groundwork for this. You see it in every single speech that Vance gives to the military or about the military. He will always slip in phrases about when we go to war or when we send you to war, and then he'll sort of correct himself, be like, if God forbid we ever have to do that. He will always lean towards this narrative of like when we have to send you to war.
Calling them war fighters.
War fighters, exactly. All the language they use, and it's all this wartime rhetoric while posturing that you're anti-war to prepare people. You're bragging about all the like the recruitment's up and all those things you're talking about, Akilah, where it's like, yeah, they're stripping away all of these avenues for people. And we know that military recruitment preys on poor people. That's how they get their recruitment numbers up.
I think that that's also honestly part of why there's such a push for people to have kids right now. And like, I'm not anti-kid. I'd love to have kids one day. I just think that it's like very creepy that they're like, but we need these kids. And I'm like, I don't know. I think the reason that the birth rate is down is because 15-year-olds aren't having kids anymore. But I guess if you need that because you're going to have to fight this war for the rest of eternity. And it does seem like all of the people who are eager to go to war with Iran are happy to have no in-game or outdate or real plan for what's happening there. Like, I feel like a key thing about Trump is that, like, I think about COVID. He never had a plan with even healthcare. There's never really a plan. It's just like, well, we're going to do this thing and then whatever happens, happens. And hopefully I'll be dead by the time, chickens come home to roost.
One can only hope that Fox News decides that it doesn't want the United States to go to war with Iran, because apparently there was a report in Rolling Stone yesterday. Fox News is demanding war with Iran. Donald Trump is listening. So whatever Hannity wants, really, whatever the, like, I guess has been Fox News.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Glenn Becks of the world. And
yeah.
What about let's get back around to Tucker then.
Speaking of Fox News has-beens.
Speaking of Fox News, it's like a perfect transition.
Yeah, you guys really set it up.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Senator Ted Cruz from Texas went on, it's just called the Tucker Carlson Show, I believe, which he posts on X the Everything app, because he's not on anything now. He just makes a show.
It wasn't
which he
Rumble.
Can do.
Yeah. It's a network called Daddy's Money, and he just spends Daddy's money talking to the people. Yeah,
I think it's like TCN, Tucker Carlson Network, or something like that. Tucker was a bit more hostile to Senator Ted than I think he thought.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
I have so many feelings about this interview. Even when Tucker Carlson is saying stuff that I'm like, okay, yes, queen, get it? Like, God, please understand, I'm joking. But he is so unpleasant and so smug and...
A few times, like watching this, I'm like, Tucker, shut up. You're so obnoxious and kind of dishonest, doing a few gotcha things. But to make the larger point of like, we shouldn't be doing this war with Iran. He even makes a point at one point, Ted Cruz says like, well, they're a weakened country and stuff. And Tucker's like, so they're weak, but we got to be scared of them. Like, he's pointing out that fascist tactic of like, your enemy is both weak and strong that Ted uses. Tucker Carlson uses it all the time too, but he can recognize it when Ted's using it for something that he disagrees with. So it's just sort of this weird like back and forth between like a senator doing his propaganda and a fascist propagandist doing his propaganda at each other. And I happen to agree with one of them about not going to war. It's like watching JD Vance debate a flat earther. Like,
right. I'm like, I hope the earth swallows you both, but
I agree with Vance, but exactly. But like, you're not doing it like, honestly, you're doing a bad job, but like, I agree with you.
My favorite thing about like specifically that clip from that interview is that like a lot of people online, the fake bots, the bots and the 3 people who are still on Twitter, were like sort of latching on to was like, wow, see, Tucker could be a journalist if he wanted to. And I'm like, let me just do a point of order. This isn't even journalism. To me, this is like a bickering couple.
Yep.
It's like the people who should have gotten divorced a long time ago. And Tucker's playing the role of the wife who's like, but you said, but that's not right. And you don't even know where it is in the Bible. And that's what you believe. Like, just nagging. And then you see Cruz with his explosion of, well, I know what I'm talking about. I didn't say that, blah. And I'm like, okay, so I feel like you all need to go behind closed doors, talk to a third person about this, and then come back out and be like, we were wrong about going to war. We shouldn't go to war.
Well, apparently they did talk to a third person because apparently Tucker Carlson called Trump to apologize for this interview. Yeah.
I want to give a little context for, not that it didn't happen. I'm sure they chatted, but we know Trump like makes things up about the content of his phone calls.
Yes.
So he was in the Oval Office on Wednesday. Trump says, Tucker's a nice guy. He called and apologized the other day because he thought he said things that were a little bit too strong, and I appreciated that. So maybe did a
wasn't even
Elon,
about
I'm
this
sorry,
thing.
I called you a pedophile type thing. But he probably was like, listen, I disagree with you about this one issue, sir, but I love you. I'll do anything you want.
They pause in the middle of this argument about going to war to bicker about who likes or doesn't like Trump.
Out a newsletter attacking Donald Trump and calling him complicit.
Never
I can
attacked
read
Donald Trump.
Yes, you have. And by the way,
campaigned for Donald Trump.
Okay, yes.
And this is after anti-Semitism, this is the last refuge. You're an anti-Semite and you hate Trump.
Okay,
I love Trump.
For all of Tucker's posturing and his correctness on this issue and his like, oh, I'm being adversarial for once in my fucking life. For all that, he still can't say that he's criticizing the president or that he doesn't like the president. Like he can't cross that, like that one line that MAGA has, which is that you do not insult the president. You don't disagree with the president. And if you do, you need to like couch it in all this other stuff to avoid the backlash that is inevitable. And he can't do that, even though we have texts from Tucker Carlson talking about how much he fucking hates Trump. It's so pathetic and funny.
One part that I like really stuck out to me, especially in like if the extended version of that first clip we just shared, is that at one point Tucker Carlson says to Ted Cruz, I don't believe you believe that. Ted Cruz was saying like, you said, Tucker, that you don't believe that Iran's trying to kill the president. And he said, I do believe that, but I don't believe that you believe that. There's never an instinct from the media that we have today to say, I don't believe you. We just listen to conservatives bloviate forever about, well, this is my religion and this is this thing and this is that. And there's so little time where the people are like, but your actions don't line up with that. So I don't think you really believe that. And that is like, like fresh air. I'm like, please, can we call out the points where we just don't buy it? Like people buy everything Trump says. And I can never get over the fact that the entire election, he was saying, I don't believe in Project 2025. I don't know what it is. And people are just like, sure. It's like no one's question was, I don't believe you. And also, what is the plan instead? It was just, well, he said he's not into it.
What parts of it do you disagree with?
Yes, follow up. What do you disagree with? What do you agree with? Say an example.
What are we doing instead? Because you do have to have a platform. It can't just be, I'm not doing Project 2025.
Exactly.
And like now, immediately, everything is Project 2025.
Right.
It's because
nobody's curious. It's like no one wants to push back and say, well, I don't buy it. So now you have to prove what your other belief is. And I'm like, can that be the thing we take from this? Like, as members of whatever media, independent, super corporate, whatever, like, it's okay to not believe what the person you're interviewing is saying and say that to their face.
Yeah. Especially when their actions and other words they've said are directly contradictory to what they just said. And that is like why he was ready for those kinds of things and moves, partly because he's so dishonest all the time.
Right. He's like, I know how to lie.
Right.
So I know you're lying.
And to like talk just about his role in this and the spectacle and like what he's getting out of it and so on. Again, no war with Iran. That's great. For context,
allegedly,
for folks listening, Tucker's origin story, I think this is relevant in most situations. He was in print journalism, and he was coming back from lunch. I believe the exact quote was he came back with a takeout hot dog.
Yeah,
I believe it was the phrase.
I think that's what it is. Take out something.
The fancy man is to take. I got a takeout hot dog. No, you got a hot dog on the street.
Got a hot dog.
Right.
You didn't need it for here.
We don't know to where.
But they're all takeout. It's a hot dog.
Are there tables?
Yeah, he's like, I had a sit-down hot dog.
It's like, all right.
But he was intercepted.
Okay, Buckley. But anyway, he got back from work and everyone was at lunch and he was asked by someone at work, hey, they're doing an interview on, I think, CNN or MSNBC about the OJ trial, which was going on at the time. They need an expert to talk about it. Are you good? Can you do that? And he, in his book, he wrote, I didn't know anything about the trial. I wasn't paying attention to it at all, but I said yes, and I was on TV like an hour later. He knew that he wasn't an expert for this thing that he was going to be talking about. He lied and said he was, and then he went on and bullshitted for a half hour, and that's how he got on television, by knowingly lying and saying he's an expert on something. Like it's just like that is what has been from the very beginning. That's who he's been.
I think it helps for Tucker that he knows he's not moving up. He already got fired from Fox News, so he's already doing like a step down thing. But every other journalist is like, well, maybe there's still, even Terry Moran, who's in his 60s, was like, I probably shouldn't say, do you really think it says MS-13 on his...
I shouldn't hold up a photo.
But like, I feel like if it wasn't Trump, Tucker would do that these days. He'd be like, what are you talking about?
What's he talking about?
You know, he'd be I don't like my face, and I don't think I'm capable of making a face as obnoxious as Tucker.
He's the worst.
He's an evil person, but he's using his evil powers for good in this one instance. You don't have to hand it to him, though.
We don't have to hand it to him. Yeah, there's all these moments. There are these where Ted Cruz is like, "Why are you focusing on the Jews?" And then like Tucker's like, "Wait, you're accusing me of anti-Semitism?" And then Ted's like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not." And then he's like, "Yeah, you are. You just implied this." And Ted's like, "No, that's not what I said." And then Ted says, "Okay, if it's not anti-Semitism, what is it?" You just said that you weren't accusing. You just said what are you talking about? There's so many moments like that where Ted is just like unprepared for anybody to like point things out or call him on anything or listen to what he's saying.
Also, I think everyone hates Ted Cruz. Like, is it like that's just the facts of like our Congress and people who've had to work with him? And so it's like, I'm sure that Tucker's like, I'm not going to do this to everybody.
This one's
But if
safe.
Ted Cruz is going to show his dumb face,
Yeah.
I'm going to be...
I get a free one here.
Hard.
Yeah. Hey, you want to watch stuff? You want to watch stuff after this stuff that you're watching? Well, after you're done watching stuff here, you can go watch stuff there. Where the there is Pluto TV. They've got wall-to-wall action movies in a way that the place where you're currently doing the stuff watching does not. Action movies such as Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, Stealth, Beverly Hills Cop, Four Brothers, Action Shack, Hot Plate coming through, Thumb Wars, the musical, Hot Plate coming too, The Grown-Up Man from Denver, The Velcro Boys, Hot Plate Bloodlines, and Good Burger. Don't do stuff, watch stuff. Never stop watching stuff at the stuff watching places. Bring the action with you and stream for free on all your favorite devices. Pluto TV, stream now. Pay never. 2.
Okay, so on Wednesday, the Supreme Court released a 6-3 ruling which upholds Tennessee's law banning gender-affirming treatment for minors. It's a 6-3 ruling, as you would expect, and I read through Chief Justice John Roberts' explanation, and his main argument for this blatantly discriminatory ruling is that, well, the plaintiffs say that this violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment because it discriminates based on sex. But it doesn't discriminate based on sex. It discriminates based on age, which is fine, and discriminates based on a medical procedure that is banned for both transgender boys and transgender girls. So you see, it is not discriminatory based on sex. It uses a typically like Roberts logistical loop to do the thing that they wanted to do. And then both he and Clarence Thomas, by the way, argued that gender-affirming care is way more controversial in the medical community than it is. They refer to it as experimental in their...
It's not.
Amy Coney Barrett signed on to this and then went further. Amy Coney Barrett, and I take back everything I said about her having integrity a few weeks ago when she did something we liked.
That's just how it is.
I'm going to defend Jonathan of a few weeks ago. It's not like you went hard in praise of...
I didn't go hard in the paint for Amy
Coney Barrett. No.
She went even farther and made an argument that trans people do not count as what they call a suspect group because they are not distinct and discrete as, say, women or Latino people or Black people or other groups that have protections in specific ways.
Wait, she used the word discrete for being Black?
I'm like, yeah, what are we talking
people
about?
People always know. I feel like they always can tell.
The discrete. Yeah.
Like, do you mean like the discrimination is discreet? Because I'm like, it feels very, it feels loud.
We're all colorblind now.
Yeah,
I
didn't even tell you guys.
That's
Just
really hard.
Watching, it's not a 10. I am, in fact, Black all the time. And so if I do feel like I'm facing discrimination from people like Target, I feel like that's absolutely because they can see it. But sure, Amy. It's different. It's different for trans people for sure. Yeah.
Well, she points out, like, listen, for, women and Black people, there's a long history of discrimination in this country that had to be rectified. But trans people, that's not even mentioned decades ago. So you can't really say that there's a long history.
It's like it was fully illegal till like 10 minutes ago, and now it's illegal again. Like, what is she talking about?
Right. You're like, are you serious with this one?
And so they're just trying to say absurd. That they're not like a distinct,
oppressed enough yet to be.
She's like,
yeah,
she's like, they may have been privately discriminated against by individuals, but that has nothing to do with the law. The law has
which we need to start discriminating against.
Right. So what they need to do is 100 years of Jim Crow style oppression of trans people, and then we can consider them a distinct and discrete group.
Everybody's got to pay their dues around here.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you guys hit with water hoses, and that's all I'm saying. Like, what is she talking about?
Water.
What is she talking about?
This is absurd and infuriating.
I mean, they've been going further and further, and sort of each lawmaker has their own sort of end goal in mind of, like, banning like socially transitioning or banning like medical care for adults. Like, it's going to get closer and closer to what we just talked about, and then there'll be a distinct group, and then we can be worried about their rights when all of that has happened.
Yeah. We can't learn from other mistakes. We actually have to make them now, again, always. Because what is progress? What's the point of progressing?
Yeah. How else are you gonna not learn the lesson if you don't keep doing it over and over again? You gotta do it over and over again to keep forgetting about it.
It's heartbreaking. There are people out there that are being kicked off of their treatments that they've been undergoing. It kind of knocks the wind out of me sometimes. Like we're sitting here joking, and I love it. It's fun to,
You gotta
commiserate together.
yeah.
But like the reality is that this is devastating. This is really, truly devastating for so many people.
It also lays the groundwork for the federal ban. Like this was a case that they were hearing about Tennessee specifically. I've seen like local organizations saying there's probably 100,000, trans kids in Tennessee. And like, maybe they don't even know yet, but whatever. Like that is sort of what they're projecting is like to be harmed in the immediate. Once the Supreme Court says something like this, now you have every other state coming out of the woodwork and they know they can't be challenged. And so it's like, it does have legs. It's not the sort of thing where I think for a lot of these rulings, people will be like, well, then you'll just go to a blue state. You'll just go somewhere where it's safer. And it's like, right. But I can attest to even being here in California, in Los Angeles, like once Roe came down, you have challenges to abortion clinics in Beverly Hills. Like they're challenging their ability to even have space in they like realtors are saying we won't sell this land to them. So you see that the trickle down isn't just like, well, here are these regressive places. And I guess you just have to go, in the 70s would be San Francisco. I guess today would be anywhere in California. There doesn't guarantee any amount of safety or protection. Like the federal government's job is to
100%.
make that a thing. And now we have this activist court. It's really horrible.
And Trump has made it clear that states don't have rights. It's not like that's not
There's that. But even in California, there are huge pockets of California that are not liberal in the way that the cities are. And so that's a whole other ballgame, even in California, but even in Los Angeles. I mean, I don't have this in front of me. So, was it the Children's Hospital of LA that paused doing gender-affirming care for patients and starting treatments? And that's in Los Angeles.
It felt maybe in Trump 1 that they can say whatever they want, but we're going to have our things, right? States' rights, we're going to have this stuff. And now, especially when it comes to public health, they want to control everyone's body. So it is gender-affirming care. It's vaccines. We took my son to the doctor, and the doctor was like, okay, he's done. He doesn't need any more shots until he's 4. And I was like, and we're going to be able to get those, right? I was like, not to get political, but with the doctor, but it was this nervous laughter. We're not doing anything different, but once certain vaccines aren't mandated for elementary school anymore, then insurance companies can decide not to cover them anymore. This stuff can happen and it will affect people in blue states. And so the Supreme Court's language where they say, listen, states should be able to decide this stuff, and then people can always go to a different state, as if it's easy to move states. Maybe it is for them. They can get on their friend's private jet and go on a fishing trip. But that's not even going to be enough for them anymore.
And there's not going to be, what they're proposing for, the big, beautiful bill, it's there's not even going to be the state level, assisted health care. It's going to be one of those things like everything else in this country. I guess this is what they mean by running it like a business, where rich people are not going to be affected. If you're lucky enough to be a trans kid with a rich parent, you'll probably be able to find care. You'll probably be able to find vaccines. But everyone else is just going to be left to the mercy of the market. And the market does not have our best interests at heart, especially these huge, multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar healthcare companies that are happy to charge you, $1 million for a polio vaccine because Trump said that you can't have it anymore.
Trans kid with a rich parent who also supports you.
Right. The levels, because let's look at Elon Musk's kids.
Can we have a brief moment of levity where we talk about this hilarious photograph of a portrait? It's one of the funniest things I've seen recently. I don't want to overstate it, but I thought it was so fake. I thought it was AI or fake or something. But the guy who tweeted it works at Reuters, so it's a real thing. It's like a poster like the Punisher's nephew would have in the basement that he lives in. Like, it's so wild that he's saw it like on some meme on Truth Social, like print that out, put it on the wall.
Yeah, make it big. It's not even as big as the other two pieces of art.
And you like see this and you're like, wait, why is it there? What's going on? And the reason is it replaced a portrait of First Lady Hillary Clinton.
Well, you gotta commend his sense of style and decorating, like very cohesive.
You can picture him there, like up a bit, up, no, lower. Oh, perfect. It looks perfect.
No frame. Just
frame.
printed on the.
It doesn't even like it. It looks so out of place.
And it's like if you went to like Monticello and you're like, this is where Thomas Jefferson lived. But he also has this weird printout of him
like fighting the dinosaurs. Like,
Yeah.
look,
also got this weird print from the beach in Venice.
It was a hot topic and got spray painted with like Darth
Here's the
Vader.
invasion of Normandy, and here's Pepe the Frog.
Yeah, exactly. And
So
here's
good.
an Etsy drawing of him that he just thought
It
was
does
kind
look
of
like he got it off of Etsy. But
It was
it's one of
supposed to
those
be a bumper
shops.
sticker, but
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, you can order it as a bumper sticker. You can order it as a coaster. You can order it as a 12
it's a
by...
mug. Yeah, whatever you want.
Whatever you want this amazing design on, you can
Available
get
in
it on
Shopify.
anything.
It comes with a free one with every order of Trump slop, whatever the Trump.
Yeah,
the
there are not
phone, the
50
crypto.
stars,
Yeah,
but
they're-
that's fine. That's fine. You don't need 50 stars.
It's only 5 Trump coins.
Handing them out
I
at
don't know what that
McDonald's.
means.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was a fun little moment of levity. Before we wrap things up today, I think we should check in real quick with Ubababa.
Yeah. Okay.
Ubababa.
What's Ubababa?
The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is its official name, passed the House. They're making changes. They're going hard in the Senate. They're probably going to get rid of the Medicare cuts so they can cut Medicaid more. That's that part.
Yeah.
But
Great.
Senator Mike Lee, who's had a busy week
I
of
despise this man.
Senator based Mike Lee.
Senator
All right.
based
Come
Mike
on.
Lee, who had to delete some tweets mocking the murder of Democratic representatives in Minnesota after he was called out in person by his colleague Tina Smith. Anyway, we're not talking about that.
I'm not talking about that.
The Senate Committee on
That was
Energy,
9 months ago, so we don't need to talk about
That
it.
was 9 months ago, 3 days ago.
Yeah, the Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources, which he heads, released its portion of the Senate Republicans' version of the budget reconciliation bill. And in that bill, it mandates the sale of at least 3 million acres of public land in the American West out of a potential 258 million acres over the next 5 years. 3 million is the minimum, which is like the size of Connecticut.
Is there a max?
Well, the max is all of them, which
It's
would be
238.
238.
This is what I'm getting at. This is what I'm getting at because I feel, sorry, there's more to set up. There's something slightly sneaky in the framing of it in my mind to say at least 3 million. Because when you say that in comparison to 258 million, you're like, all right. But it doesn't stop there. Please go on.
Well, I want to share this visualization of a bunch of the land that is available. And it's either available to purchase from the Bureau of Land Management or the U.S. Forest Service. This tan stuff is Bureau of Land Management. The green is U.S. Forest Service. That's a lot of land. And when he was called out, when based Mike Lee was called out on Twitter, real Mike Lee responded like none of that area is for sale. And then he got community noted because they still do that because he is lying.
There is confusion around this. I've heard a lot of like, this can't be serious or it is serious. And they're like, well,
Just like
they're not.
listen to them. Yeah.
Do I imagine immediately there's a huge land grab? Not necessarily.
Well, I was just going to say, so like the first episode of How Is This Better literally tackles this. And we spoke with a lobbyist on behalf of the parks, like the actual national parks, which I think they're all leaning in to say like the national parks are fine. It's the forests that will go. And it's like, what do you think the national parks are surrounded by? And do you think the bears can read the sign when they, walk on to what they're drilling and do you understand what the point of all of this is? The thing that's like really strikes me about this issue, because it's like, okay, there's the basic, like, this is just, you shouldn't be giving the federal government this land. But again, we have to get back to like, what is the plan? Because everyone on this call, everyone in this country owns that land. There is no plan to pay us for 3 million or 253 million acres of land that we own and have paid to upkeep for hundreds of years.
No, this is to pay for their tax cuts.
Yeah, we didn't get those $5,000 Doge checks. I don't think we're going to get anything for this.
It's to line their pockets. And so it's like, people need to wake up. Like if it was your house they were selling, you'd be like, fuck you, pay me. People are like, well, if Trump wants to do it, I'm like, so you're going to give away literally land that you own, meaning like tomorrow you could drive to Yosemite and just post up because you've been paying for it, versus like, sorry, there's a big fence here because we're going to cut down all the trees and kill all of the animals. And, we'll just not have anything for you to go to in this country that doesn't require you to spend tons of money to experience it. Like, people just really don't have any sense of what the point of paying taxes is. And like, I think that's why Doge was able to come in and be like, see, we've saved money, even though it's like, right, but you're taking all of our benefits. You're taking all of the things.
There's just with everything, there's unintended things that you don't even think about that comes from this. The building of, more, expensive places, stuff that used to be accessible to all of us that now has being turned into a luxury resort is now being turned,
And then there's, for drilling, for oil, for, fishing, for, literally all of the natural resources. So it's like the land has its own value, but then it's also like the resources that the land provides. And so it's like, so you're telling me that you would sell it and now you're going to have a whole fishing industry of these rare fish that we kept alive for hundreds of years that you then continue to profit from?
I don't fully know how this works, but I do know that a lot of ranchers and stuff that let their cattle graze on certain swaths of land. And so now that might not be accessible to them.
Part of this conversation, like within the money that they're like, okay, we're going to make all this money by selling the land, is firing all of the staff. And so we spoke with a park ranger in that episode, Adam Auerbach. He used to be in the parks. Now he advocates on behalf of them. But he was talking about how like, they fired all of the people who are like the janitors, the front desk people, whatever. So what you have now are PhD people who have studied this land for years to tell us, okay, well, here's what's happening here. If it's getting hot, these animals and these, bugs and whatever is here they're leaving. So you can expect that. Like they can extrapolate for what that will mean for the rest of the world. And they're like, now you work at the front desk. Now you change the toilet paper. You don't actually get to do your science.
I've got friends in the Forest Service whose entire job during the summer, especially, you're literally surveying to make sure to see the impact of humans on nature, to see what invasive species are popping up. They're cataloging. There are lots of improvements that can be made to the Forest Service. A lot of that comes with better funding to be able to hire more people because we're severely understaffed. But like these are vital things that nobody's out there thinking about. But now you don't have access. You don't know what's happening. You don't know how that water comes downstream, like ends up in our water system and then affects the population that's not in the private land. I don't know. I could go on for days about it, but it's very terrifying. And I honestly don't really know what there is to be done about it. Call your fucking people.
This is an issue that people like. It's one of those issues that I think it's not like nonpartisan, but like it is, as everyone's been talking about. Like this is an issue that affects everybody.
Most popular federal employees.
Exactly, it's a very popular. Like people like nature generally, and like there are conservatives who want to conserve the beautiful things that nature has to offer. So it does seem like a lot of people pushing back against base Mike Lee are Republicans who are like, wait, what are you doing?
Even beyond just like our enjoyment of it, like the Republican argument is like, well, we're running the country like a business, so we're going to try to make money here. The parks make more money now than the oil industry does, like because of recreation, because of people visiting. 300 million people visit the parks every year. Like
that's nice.
That's basically the entire population of the country. People come from around the world to see it. And so it's like, we're not even thinking in a business sense. Like, this is just another grift. And I think that, like, people have got to wake up. The answer is, like, showing up, showing out. I went to those protests last weekend, the No King's Day, and the online leftists can be mad about the signs about brunch. Who gives a fuck? But, like, the reality is people were out there talking about science. They were talking about the national parks. They were talking about immigration. They were talking about all of this. Like, people care. And I think that show of just like millions of people taking a Saturday where they could have stayed at home matters. Like, we need more of that. We need people to be willing to say with their chest on a daily basis, you can't take these from us. This is my land. I own it.
One last thing that I'll say. People love to want to talk about my town. Everyone uses Facebook in this little mountain town to get news or whatnot. And I've started seeing people posting like, is this true? This can't be true. I'm like, yeah, that's what we've been talking about for a while. People outraged. How can I change this? And this is not people that are of my persuasion, politically speaking. Doesn't make me feel good that they're finally seeing that. I am pointing that out as another thing that is breaking through, that does feel nonpartisan. It does feel like across the board, this is not what people wanted or expected, even though Project 2025
all of it
laid it out for
But
us.
that would require people to read and know how to read and then choose to read, which I feel like is less and less popular.
Or just to be just a little bit more incredulous. Just stop being so credulous about every single thing they say.
Right.
Well, you guys, we've arrived at the end of our show. I think we did a good job covering topics, keeping it light and real.
I think you did a great job wrapping it up.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Akilah, it was
That's
such
a really good
delight.
compliment. I did too, though, right?
It was. You did such a good job complimenting me.
Pros.
Please tell our listeners and viewers where they can find you.
Yeah, I am Akilah H on Instagram, but my new show is called How Is This Better from Courier. You've probably seen their posts. They do a lot of posting. They're on TikTok and Instagram. We are breaking into YouTube. We would love to have you as a listener. I think you get my vibe, and so you definitely will like the show. So yeah, check it out. It comes out every Friday, and we have 4 episodes as of this episode airing. So come catch up. We would love to have you.
Yeah, if you like our show, you're going to like Akilah's show.
Yeah.
And if you don't like our show, keep listening.
I don't know.
Don't leave a comment or anything.
Yeah, you don't need to tell us.
Yeah, tell your friends that they should like it, even if you don't.
Yeah,
exactly.
Go listen to Verdict if you're not enjoying this.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're out of here. Have a good weekend. And remember,
what?
We love you very much.
Much.